Hello, welcome. This is the draft analysis for the FC Popplio for Season 8 of the NPL. We're in Majors. We finally have our own team, and I guess I should go over the budget a bit and rules. So we have 120 points, as you see on the screen. We have 24 points for Z-Mons. We're using the Z-point system, so therefore, as you can see, the Terrakion is 14, Venomoth is 7 points, Semi-Series 3 points, so altogether that adds up to 24, so I made those my Z-Mons to fill out my Z budget. Cool. I conveniently also, all my points add up to 120, which is actually really nice. We were allowed to draft, I believe it was 9 to 12 Mons, and the point values range from anywhere from 1 to 19. Speed Pass was banned, all forms, Speed Boost, or even Agility Pass. So, Mons like any sort of Agility Passer or the Scolipede are a lot weaker now, so last but not least, a bunch of good Mons got unbanned, like most notably being Aegislash. That one is the most interesting in the format. We also have like Sheer Force Lando and Tapu Lele, and of course Mega Mole and Mega King are still allowed. As you can see, I drafted one of them. And that's just sort of the gist of everything so far. So I could jump into plans and how I sort of started out this draft. I had an original plan of drafting Mega Kangaskhan because I like to shit-talk people who draft Mega Kangaskhan. I'm like, oh, you're using it really poorly, or whatever, this or that, and I can't just be all talk. I'd feel really stupid if I talked all this shit and then I was given a chance to draft Mega Kang in Majors and then I didn't, so I kind of felt obligated to pick up Kang, even though I didn't really want it per se, but I had a cool plan around it. Most importantly, sort of the main four Mons I wanted were Mega Kangaskhan, Greninja, Como, and then later on, maybe around 5, 6, I would get a Yanmega, because I liked that sort of pairing. Yanmega to resist fighting types, and Kang sort of didn't like fighting types, of course. Kang helped break walls for the Yanmega, and then vice versa. And Gren and Como were just very good Mons in general, and I liked using them, so I wanted to pick them up again. Gren and Como were very core to my whole overarching plan. Then the draft started. The day before, or the day of, I ended up getting really sick with the flu. I was bedridden, I couldn't even move, I couldn't join calls or anything like that, but the draft had started, and I had to make do with whatever plans I had. I had a base plan. I didn't really make any backups or anything for it. It was just very straightforward, because I didn't really expect to get sniped, as I tend not to draft things that can, in rounds that can get sniped, and then I just kind of pick from there. Unfortunately, I did get sniped. Round 3, I was going to get a Como, and Aster J, coach of the Montreal Absols, I love him so much, he's a good friend, a fellow Portuguese man. He drafted Como round 3, and I was just like, who does that? Why? Just, why? I wanted that, and it hurt me deeply. It really did. So, I had to throw my whole plan out the window. I was very sick, and I just kind of panicked from there. Like, I threw out most of my plan. Like, the plan was in shambles already, because nothing really did what Como did, and it was kind of important. I just didn't expect it to go around 3, but alas, here we are. But the draft overall is pretty good. Also, you'll notice that there's no Yanmega. That's for a lot of reasons. That's partially because the Como got taken. I really needed stuff like Como and the rest of my plan to sort of come together for Yanmega to really shine. But also, around round 4, Greg, I'm sure you know who he is, he DM'd me saying that he wanted Yanmega. Because I kept saying, I'm drafting Yanmega. He really wanted Yanmega, and he convinced me not to take it. He said, I'm going to take it, you can get something else. I was like, cool, I am going to get Venomoth then. So he goes and gets to his turn. He doesn't draft it. And he DMs me like I didn't take it. Suddenly, my plan is just kind of out of whack. My plan's already out of whack from not having the Como. And then I already had to replan while sick around not having a Jan Mega anymore. And then suddenly I get it back. I'm like, alright, I could fix this. I'm going to get Jan Mega last round. Nobody's going to take Jan Mega. I've been saying I'm taking it the whole time. Greg's been saying he's taking it the whole time. Everybody probably took it off their plans. Cool. We get to the last round. When I'm going to take Jan Mega, Abe takes it right before me. And I'm like, God damn it. No. So, Jan Mega got sniped for me. Yeah. So, I guess this is what we have. And it's not bad. It's not great. But it's what we have. I guess we can get right to it after 5 minutes of just pure bullshit. Let's talk about Kang. So I think Kang is one of the most versatile mons in the format. It's like a mega form of Mew. It's super fat. It hits really well on both sides. Of course, a lot harder on the physical side. Parental Bond's really good for any move with a secondary effect. And just, it's fat while also hitting very hard. It can either be a very strong wall breaker or it could be a very strong support mon. And that's sort of its coup de grace? No, that's not the word. Whatever. It's its big shining point. It's versatile. It can do a lot. It doesn't have to be the wall breaker. It doesn't have to be a wish passer. But it can do both. The problem is this team doesn't help it do both. It's kind of locked into its wall breaking role unless I can get super creative. And that lets me lead into my my points about my offensive core. My offensive core of Gren, Terrakion, Jolteon, Venomoth, Decidueye sometimes, Simisear sometimes, Malamar sometimes, and of course the Mega Kangaskhan. So the main core of Gren, Jolteon, Terrak is very strong. It's very powerful. With an Owl, it's very good because I have Baton Pass options and things like that. But the main issue with the team as a whole is there's no true wall breaker. Terrakion and Kang are very good wall breakers, but they tend to like mons that also like wall breaking. So like Megas like Zard Y, maybe Pinsir, maybe Mega Medicham, things like that really help mons like Terrakion shine because they aren't locked into just being a wall breaker. Sorry. Whereas Kang is the same way. It likes stuff like Darmanitan and all the... I don't need to name a bunch of stuff. A lack of true wall breakers is kind of the issue, and that's kind of what Como was helping with. It was like a bulky mon that could set up in people's faces and be that wall breaker. The lack of setup options is also kind of an issue. I have like defensive ones like Comfy and Cress and things like that, but aside from Terrakion, debatably Owl, and my Venomoth, I don't really have a lot, and that's really why I'm glad I ended up taking Venomoth over Yanmega anyway, because Venomoth is super clutch in this draft, because it's my best setup sweeper. Quiver Dance is so threatening, and then with Tinted Lens and all that other stuff that Yanmega, that I'm gonna keep mixing them up the entire video. I hate it. With the offensive powers that Venomoth has with Tinted Lens and Quiver Dance, it's very threatening, and having access to a Quiver Dance mon is very useful to me, considering how lackluster a lot of my offense is. That is to say that it's not bad, because with Baton Pass, with Nasty Pass or SD Pass, a lot of my mons become a lot scarier, and that's sort of my saving grace with this team. That Owl is a monster, and he can Baton Pass anything I want to anybody, and I'm really looking to take advantage of that because it's a really good move set, and it's kind of really needed because, like I said, I lack true wall breakers. I guess I could pivot into my defensive core, where I have a ton of pivots, and then a lot of fat passive mons. it's interesting. I have good fat mons. Skarm's great. Cress is great. Comfy's great. Donphan's pretty good. Owl is fantastic. Kang is amazing. So you take all that, and then you take in the fact that I have really good offense and offensive mons, as well as Spike Stack, T-Spike Stack, a bunch of rockers, a lot of good hazard control. Like, it's a solid team. I can make solid groups of 6. The problem is, while there's individual team synergies, like I said, Gren, Terrakion, Jolteon, Decidueye, and then I can add in, like, make a Kangaskhan to break, and then Skarm for hazard stacks, and have this really scary HO team. Or I can do stuff like Comfy Cress with a defensive Skarm and a Kangaskhan and a T-Spiker or something, and then I have a really good, like, semi-stall defensive team. But balance is really difficult for my team to build, because, like, I don't have a true wall breaker. I don't have a wall that really gets me momentum aside from Owl. Owl's my best option for that. While stuff like Skarm and Cresselia can work really well on HO, mons like Donphan and Comfy work really well on balance, but then don't work on HO, and then it's just... the mons all kind of clash in styles that they prefer, and that makes building not only awkward for me, but also kind of awkward for my opponent, and that's something that... it's like a double-edged sword. I like it, but it also, like, annoys the hell out of me. And it's something that if I'm not really careful with my sets and how I prep, I could just lose, because I'm bringing like a balanced build, and then he preps specifically for my balanced team and he wins, or he preps for offense and I bring my defensive team and I win. And things like that, a lot of matchups may just end up looking like that, where I bring the wrong playstyle or they prep for the wrong playstyle and one of us gets blown out, like completely out of the water. I've been avoiding these last 2 months, Simisear and Malamar. I touched on them a bit. They were nice offense mons. Malamar's cool. I think it's really underutilized in the format. Contrary is a great ability, especially with superpower. Has a lot of unique tools to it, with like Trick Room and the fact that it's a good punishment for people who want to run Defog. I have a lot of Defoggers, but I didn't really think I'd ever bring many of them. Like, at most I'm bringing Spin because I like Hazard Stack, I like Spike Stacking, and I don't think I ever really want to defog on them. It's just really convenient that a lot of my mons happen to be able to run defog. I have 4 defoggers and 1 Spin, so hazards are not an issue, and that is a police siren. Hello. Yes. Okay. So ignore that as best you can, if that even comes through on the mic. So, yeah, Malamar's cool, and there's an Aegislash, like I said before, so having a Malamar to kind of punish an Aegislash, it kind of denies Gypsy. I don't think Gypsy's ever going to trade, so yeah, it denies Gypsy from wanting to run King Shield, maybe? And if I could at least do that, if I could make him think, what if he brings Malamar, or what if he punishes my Aegislash with Malamar, then that's a win in my book. Because, like, Malamar isn't doing much, but if it can force prep and force different responses from my opponent, then that's a win for me. Plus, it's a knockoff user. Simisear and Malamar are my 2 knockoff users. They're both my 3-pointers. Simisear is a mon to sort of transition. Simisear I picked up because I needed a good fire type. I wanted something with Wisp to help sort of chip down things, and Wisp is just a good move to have. I like running mons that can use Wisp. Fire types are very good, and the biggest issue I have with Simisear is that it's too much like Greninja, but without like the added utility that Greninja has. Greninja's fast, Simisear is also fast, less so. Greninja can sweep on both sides, so can Simisear. Simisear even has access to moves like Nasty Plot and Knockoff and Gunk Shot. Well, both have Gunk Shot, but Fire Blast and things like that, you know. it's the problem is anytime that Simi Seer has a good matchup, Greninja probably has one too, unless it's very fire type favored. Like, if I want to bring a recipient for like an SD or a Baton Pass, or an SD or a Nasty Plot Pass, Greninja is there. It has similar if not better stats offensively than Simi, and it has just as much coverage, and that's sort of my issue. If anything, Simi's really good on like HO builds where I could bring both, or like I said, matchups where Simi has a fantastic matchup, or like a fire type in general has a fantastic matchup. But as sirens continue to blare, I am going to wrap up this video. It's a little different. I didn't go over each pick and why I picked it each round. I kind of just talked about the team in general, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know down below. Week 1 should be up soon, in a week? About a week, maybe less. We have March Madness coming on Saturday, so be sure to check that out. I don't know if I'll upload it, but I am involved in that, and I picked a pretty spicy team. But I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.